Today's video is begin with the famous quotation of the David Waters, former professor, Oxford University. He said, "Machine learning and deep learning will create a new set of hot jobs in the next 5 to 10 years." Hello viewers, I am Dr. Yusuf. I welcome you all in my channel 5 Minutes Information. This is episode number 141. In this episode, I will talk about the deep learning. Point number 1, what is deep learning? And point number 2, what are the types of deep learning? Come to the point number 1, what is deep learning? Deep learning is the subset of machine learning, and machine learning is the subset of artificial intelligence. It is an important parameter of any intelligent computer program, and both are the important component of the artificial intelligence. Deep learning is a method that teaches computer to process the data in a way that is impelled by the human brain. Deep learning models can recognize complex patterns in a picture, text, sound, and other format of the data, produce accurate insight and prediction. The example of deep learning is neural network, computer vision, facial recognition, predictive analytics, and voice and speech recognition, and language translation. Point number 2, what are the types of deep learning? There are 5 important types of deep learning. Number 1, conventional neural networks. Number 2, recurrent neural networks. Number 3, deep reinforcement learning. Number 4, generative adversarial network. And number 5th, multi-layer perceptrons, MLPs. Number 1, conventional neural networks, CNNs, used for image recognition and processing. CNNs are particularly good at identify objects in image, even they are partially obscured or distorted. Facial recognition is the common example of CNN, conventional neural network. Number 2, recurrent neural networks, RNNs, used for natural language processing and speech recognition. RNN are particularly good understanding the context of sentence and phrase. The example of recurrent neural networks, RNNs, is used for the language translation, speech recognition, speech recognition, and voice recognition and voice assistant. Number 3, deep reinforcement learning is used for the robotics and playing game. Deep reinforcement learning is a type of deep learning that allow an agent to learn and how to behave in an environment by interacting with it. For example, self-vehicles and self-driving cars are an example of deep reinforcement learning, DRL. Point number 4, generative adversarial networks, GANs, generate realistic data by training of 2 neural networks in a competitive setting. They have been used to create realistic images, videos, and audio. Example, generate a photograph of human faces, generate realistic photographs, image to image translation, image to text translation are the example of generative adversarial networks. Point number 5th, multi-layer perceptrons, MLPs, a class of feed-forward artificial neural network, ANN, and MLP models are most basic deep learning neural network. Multi-layer perceptrons is an algorithm that learns the relationship between the linear and non-linear data. The example of multi-layer perceptrons are to solve the complex data calculation and predictive analytics. Besides these common types of deep learning, there are other types of deep learning like deep belief networks, transformers, narrow readiness field, long or short term memory LSTM, and radial bias functional network RBFN. Here I conclude the episode number 141. In this episode I discussed two important points about the deep learning. Number one, what is deep learning, and number two, what are the types of deep learning. Stay connected. I will back soon with another informative episode. Thanks for watching till the end.